Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's your old pal, Mr. Butter, coming back at you. And I just wanted to give you all an update on my progress with making these Forum 84s into more of a Chicago colorway, like Adidas had pictures of on their website when I ordered the shoe. The mudguard and the eye stays were all white or like a cream color. But in the pictures, when I ordered the shoe, it looked a lot more like this color blocking. It looked like a Chicago colorway on a Forum 84. And the Forum 84 is one of my favorite retro basketball shoes. I'm a sneakerhead, and the Chicago colorway is about as good as it gets as far as color blocking goes. And I've done about 3 coats of paint on these so far. I think that's all I'm going to do for the red paint, aside from little areas that I need to touch up and whatnot. But I just wanted to, I'm getting ready to take the tape off of it, and I wanted to come out here and video just to show how it looks overall. I wanted to see it in the natural light because at first I had a lot of light and darker spots of the red, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to blend that all in, but it seems like the more coats I put on, the more consistent the darkness of that red color got. I was going to try to match the red to the red on the shoe already. However, it's close enough that I just went with what it was. And I didn't want to have to mix paint multiple times and end up with one shoe being a little bit different colored than the other. So I just figured I'd go with the red as is and left it alone. But I'm really happy with the way I think it came out. But let's go ahead and get the tape off and see how they're looking. So some of the parts that I had taped off as I was working on it, I ended up removing the tape because I didn't think of this before. However, as I was painting, the edges of the tape sometimes would catch just the very edge of the paintbrush, and it would almost pull paint down underneath of the tape. So I think as long as you really take your time and you're just being really mindful and really paying attention to how much paint you have on your paintbrush, and just, you know, really focusing on that edge that you're trying to get, I think as long as you really pay attention, I probably won't tape it off next time. Maybe some areas that are just in really odd spots, but I think I could have done it without tape. And there were actually some little spots that I know that because I had tape on it and the edge was up just a little bit higher than the edge that I was painting, it almost, you know, caused it to pull paint under and then get it where I didn't want it. However, here's the first one. Looks pretty good to me. This is probably all the coats of paint that I'm going to put on it, aside from little areas I see that might need just a tiny bit more. But this is probably all I'm going to put on it as far as coats of paint go. I tried to keep the edge pretty natural. But then once I get all the touch-ups done, and once I go over these interlocking E's with black, I wasn't sure how else to do that. There was no way I could have just avoided all of it. So I just painted over it with the red. I'm going to go over that with a really fine brush and black paint before I seal it all. But It has a little bit of a glossy look to it. I don't know if you can see that or not, just because it's later in the day and the sun's on its way out, but it's got a little bit of a glossy finish to it, and I really want it to look matte. Like, I don't want just these panels, the eye stays and the mudguard, to be all glossy and shiny if the rest of the shoe is, you know, kind of flat looking. So along with the sealer, along with this sealer made by, and like I said in the first one, I don't know if that's Angelus, so I don't know, somebody help me out, but I can't sing enough praises about how good these products are, and I'm really happy with how this is looking so far, and just the quality of the paint and the paint brushes. But anyhow, I'm going to mix this sealant, this finisher, with just a couple drops of this Dollar. It's the same brand as well, but then that will enable me to get a really flat finish on this. It shouldn't really change the color, but it'll take the shine down a little bit. My goal of the shoe, I wasn't seeking out perfection, nor was I thinking that I would be able to do it perfectly on my first attempt, but I'm really happy with it so far. There's a couple little areas where you can see I had a stray bristle or something from the paintbrush, and also there's some areas down around the toe box where it might not look super even where it meets the midsole, but overall, and you'll have to let me know, but overall I think it came out really, really well. And now that's not even all that I'm doing. I'm doing a little bit more to them just to put a little bit more of a custom touch on them. But anyhow, I'm putting that flat finish over top of it, and I'm painting the E's black. I still have tape over top of these little eye stays that had like a black metal eyelet going around it, so I'll have to take that off. I'll wait till I get inside to take those off, and then I'll probably have to touch up a little bit around that with a really fine brush. But I think these are actually pretty sick. I mean, my goal was, I didn't want it to look blatantly like a shoe that was toyed with. I want it to look like a shoe that somebody would buy and just throw on foot. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but if I saw somebody wearing this, I wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, what happened there? What kind of accident was that pair of shoes in? I would honestly think like, that's a dope looking shoe. And so far, I'm really happy with the progress. So I'm going to do some little touch-ups and then put the sealant on it, and maybe change another thing or two, and then I'll do a final look at it, at how it comes out. But so far, I'm really pumped, and I cannot recommend that Angelus, whatever that company is, however you pronounce it, I can't recommend their products enough. This is my first time customizing a shoe, and of course I did this because of that whole mess with Adidas, where they advertised a Chicago looking Eric Emanuel Form 84 on their website, and what they sent out was not what they had pictured at all. But let's go ahead and get this tape off while I'm sitting here talking away. And of course, before I started painting, I went over just the panels that I was going to paint with the deglazer, just to get that protective layer off, that coating off. And it was weird. It's like you didn't know if it was working, but you could feel it getting all sticky, and the surface took the paint really, really well, so I'm assuming that it worked just fine. It's cold out here, so I can't work my fingers too well. Alright, so here's the second one, and I think it looks equally as good. It is, like I said, a little bit shiny, but I'm gonna go over that with that flat Dollar, and it should come out looking all right. I think so far they're looking pretty dope. I don't know, I'm pumped about it. I actually think they turned out a lot better than what I was anticipating. And looking down on them, down at that toe box, oh man. Let me know what you think and stay tuned for the final. Have a good one.